Good evening, colleagues. Welcome once again to part 2 of what we started yesterday. My name is Karabo Shale. For those who might have not been here yesterday, I come from the School of Interdisciplinary Research and Graduate Studies within the College of Graduate Studies, mainly based at Metleneke campus in Pretoria. You might have remembered that yesterday we touched base on the proposal development, a guided tour of your proposal, clarifying student expectation part 1, where our focus was more on the scholarship, maximizing the scholarship and the academic impact of your research. Today, we are going to focus more on the approaches and skill development in preparation towards defending your proposal as well as your thesis. So without waste of time, allow me then to probably just close my video for now, and then I'll open it again later when we come to the Q&A so that we can start. Once again, as I said, welcome. So the session for today is going to focus mainly on a recap of what we have done yesterday, and then while we're continuing with what we are going to do for today. So the following will be what I'll cover for today. Just a brief overview in terms of the academic standards with regard to NQF level 9 and 10, that is a master's and also a doctoral qualification. I'll just touch base on the UNISA's catalytic niche area, the National Development Plan and Agenda 2063 and SDG, mainly to touch base on that in line with what we have done yesterday, what must also be part of your proposal or the project as you are continuing. We'll do a quick recap on the what's the proposal, and then dwell too much on the proposal defense itself. After that, then we'll take a journey through the recap on what is a thesis, and also then the viva voce, or what we normally refer to as the oral thesis defense or examination. So with that, colleagues, so that you just to recap what you already know, this is already available within, I think, DHED, CHE, and also SAPA website, but also at UNISA. It's available online on our web pages. Ideally, just remember that a master's dissertation, one needs to demonstrate the ability to work independently. The same will apply for the doctoral candidate. However, at master's level also, remember that one needs to reflect critically on the theory and the applications. And secondly, a candidate at master's level needs to deal with complex issues, both systematically and creatively, towards designing and critically appraising the research, and also making sound judgment and communicate their conclusions clearly. And I'm mentioning this because as we are going to talk about, proposal defense or even the doctoral defense, those who are doing doctorate, these are some of the things that you need to take note of. And we don't have a lot of difference between NQF level 9 and NQF level 10, except that at doctoral level, the requirements is a bit higher. For example, here on the screen, you will see that at doctoral level, you need to demonstrate a high-level research capability and make a significant and original academic contribution. So at master's level, that is not a requirement. You are expected to remember you have the ability to work independently. At doctoral level, a high-level research capability and making significant and original academic contribution. And also, at doctoral level also, the work must be of a quality to satisfy peer review and merit publication. The same still apply for some of you who are doing it masters, you can be able to publish, but at doctorate, that becomes something that is more critical. Now, you'll remember at undergrad level, it was more about knowledge telling. You are telling people or submitting for the sake of submitting your assignments to pass a certain subject or course. It was more about what others have done. But now at postgrad level, what you are doing now at master's level and doctorate level, it's about knowledge creation. So you're no longer telling us about what is there. You are also now creating something out of what is already known there. Now, as to continue, remember I said I will want to touch base on UNISA's catalytic niche areas. UNISA has 10 catalytic niche areas. The first one, marine studies, followed by aviation and aeronautical studies, automotive, energy, space studies, also natural sciences, feminist, and student support. I'm mentioning all these things because remember yesterday when you talked about the scholarship and academic impact of your research, you need to also check with your project, according to your project, how does it align with UNISA's niche areas that are already there. Moreover, once you have done that also, we also have the National Development Plan from our country. Also your project, you need to also check base whether how does it then relate to some of these development plans that are already there. Not forgetting also Agenda 2063 goals of African Union, where it covers some of the things that are linked with our NDP, and some also will then link with the SDG goals. So when you are presenting, I'm reflecting on this because when you present or you are working on a project or proposal, try to check where is your project fitting in terms of our UNISA's catalytic niche areas, and also check in terms of the NDP, what is it that you are attending or addressing, as well as the SDGs and also Agenda 2063, so that at least your project can have impact on some of the challenges that we are facing, either as a country, as a continent, or as the world. Those are the things that I just wanted to recap on. Now, let's try to recap what we have done yesterday. We said yesterday a research proposal is mainly there to outline what you propose to do, and also trying to give reasons based from literature in terms of what you are suggesting to looking forward to, and also having a plan doing that. Now, with this at the back of your mind, remember yesterday we touched base that the content of a research proposal normally will have a title of the study, as abstract for your proposal objectives, followed by introduction that will capture the problem statement of your study, as well as justifying or some of the hypotheses that you'll have for your project, covered by the literature review as well, followed by the methodology, inclusive of research design and the data analysis of your study. And remember the issue we talked about yesterday also, the issue of ethical clearance, that after the proposal is approved, it must be ethically approved as well. And then also to reflect on delimitations as well as the time frame of your study. Some of you yesterday were talking about how long it will take you. It's important at your proposal stage you cover base on things like that. We also talked about the data management plan and the budget, as well as the references that you have to use for your submission. Now, with that at the back of your mind, now let's dwell into today's main focus, the proposal defense. Now, firstly, remember for your proposal, you can either use PowerPoint or any other similar software or packages that might be available. I know people in the mathematical fields, they have a certain package that they're using. Some might use PDF, but in a PowerPoint mode or so. But whatever you use must be something that is going to be clear and visible for presentation. Normally, the defense for a proposal can take 20 to 30 minutes. Followed by the questions answers after that. So it's important that the slides that you prepare, you keep to the time frame that you are giving. And it's important when you are now defending, you are showing the crucialness of your study and how it's useful. That's what you need to give to the audience, and make people to understand all aspects of your study when you're presenting your proposal. What is also important during your slides, avoid explaining in details unnecessarily, except where there's a need, and try to have as small sections or few bullets, but at least trying to explain where there's a need for explaining. Now, there's something that I've just highlighted there to say that defense does not mean to be defensive. Whether you're defending your proposal or defending your thesis, the defense does not mean to be defensive. It's just a way of you sharing what you have done or what you intend to do with the audience that you have. So never become defensive, but remember people are there to work with you to help you. As we continue, in terms of the format now for a required, normally I would suggest as a rule of thumb, it doesn't say you have to have about 17 to 20 slides. We are just recommending that try to have about 17 to 20 slides, because remember we talked about 20 to 30 minutes, so that you can time yourself in a correct way. Normally you have to avoid long sentences as far as possible. Try to have concise and fewer sentences. And in your slides, try to not to have a lot of information. Try to minimize the information that is there. And as well, also the font size that you're going to use. Try to have a font size that will be visible on your PowerPoint slides. What is important as well is the use of graphics or diagrams, pictures, because remember, people, they tend to remember when they see diagrams or pictures. So as far as possible, try to also use pictures so that you also make your presentation a bit interesting as well. And where you are using bullet forms in a slide, try to have about 3 to 4 bullets, but as I said, don't make them too long, especially when I present your proposal. Now, I'm going to try to cover some of the headings. Remember, we talked about the previous headings about the proposal. So from the proposal that we have, the same contents that we have in terms of the heading, you are now just preparing a summarized version that you're going to present. So slide number 1, or your main slide, will have your title, also your details as a student, your student number, or you can also reflect on the college or school where you are based or the department. The second slide must then cover the part of the background, or what others will probably refer to as the introductory remarks of your study. Sometimes people combine the introductory remarks with literature review, but you can just have one slide just introducing the project and an overview, and then followed by the statement of the problem in one slide, where you are providing the problem that your dissertation will address in terms of what you are presenting. Also, in line with that, remember the issue of the purpose of your study. That is where now you are providing what the study will do relative to what others have done, and also in line with your statement of the problem. Now, the following slides also I will follow after this one. Significance of the study. This can still be aligned with your purpose of the study, where you are giving us the main argument why the solutions that you want to provide are important for your project. Then we talked also, you remember yesterday, about the research questions, the objectives. You need to have a slide also that will reflect on that, as well as hypothesis. If your project has one, a null hypothesis, sometimes you can also cover that. Now, the one of literature, as I said, the slide where you're going to have literature, you can have about 2 slides there, because remember now, that's where you are reflecting on what others have done and how your project then will, align with what other people have done. This one, as I said, you can link it up with your introduction. It depends between you and your supervisors how you will structure it, but you have to cover all these aspects. And remember, under literature, that's where you are now giving us the gaps. You are talking about the gaps, what others have done in their studies. That will then be followed by the theoretical or either the conceptual frameworks and also the research designs. Remember, yesterday we talked about the theoretical frameworks are important because they are helping you to make sense of the phenomenon that you are going to investigate. And the research designs, you can use the diagrams or whichever style that you will use, but to try to show people how is the framework of the project going to go, the method that you're going to use. In terms of the population as well, sample population, how are you going to collect data? Where are you going to go? Those are things that you need to reflect on in your proposal. The following slides also, as part of data collection, as I just talked about population. Remember this is where you also provide now the methods which you are going to use to collect your data, the instrument you are going to use, whether you're going to use questionnaires. If you are in the, let's say, hard sciences, which instrument you're going to use, you can have pictures of those instruments or a diagram showing all those things. If you are also going to use questionnaires, or let's say people are doing ethnography study or in a qualitative study, you just try to give an overview of how that will be done. Whether you're going to use focus groups or case studies, whatever method that you're going to use, you need to reflect that when you present so that the audience can understand how you're going to collect the data. Then that will be followed then by the data analysis. This can probably be 1 to 2 slides, because then you are going to tell us which software you're going to use, how is the data going to be analyzed. I mentioned yesterday that some of you might use Atlas TI, some can use SPSS, some can use Amos, whatever software that you're going to use or whatever method you're going to use to analyze your data. It's important to reflect on that, because then the audience, some of the experts can assist or guide you if maybe there's something that is not in order. Now, within the proposal itself, remember we talked about limitations. You need to have a slide that will then give us the nature of the limitations and how you'll overcome those challenges, should there be any in your study. Followed by also the limitations. Remember, we said this one is mainly to focus on the boundaries of your project or your study. And the limit of your scope, either be it whether are you going to focus in Gauteng area only, or you're going to focus only on people who are above 18 or so. This is where then you give us that, information. And don't forget also, 1 or 2 slides have to then reflect also the references that you have used. And remember, yesterday we mentioned that please, as far as possible, try to get recent references. Where there's a challenge, there must be reasons why you don't have the recent references. Then the last slide will be the one where you are thinking the people who will be there listening to you, and also then allowing them to then raise questions so that you can be able to respond. And as I said, remember, the purpose of a proposal defense, it's not there to fight or do anything like that, or to punish you. The issue is just for you to share what you are planning to do with others who are knowledgeable, who can probably advise further on your proposal. And maybe to mention, currently at UNISA, I have tried to check on our policies and check with colleagues. For the proposal, it depends which college you are in, which department you are in. But as far as I'm informed, it's not yet compulsory. But some departments or colleges, they encourage that, they are doing that. It might be where you are, they are not doing that, but that's something that might be in the future. UNISA will be going in that direction. Now, with that, let's now move. We are done with what you need to prepare for a proposal in terms of the defense of that. So some of the principles that I've talked about when we talked now earlier about the proposal will still apply when we come to the thesis presentation. Now, let's just check first, what is a thesis? Some normally refer to a dissertation. This is a written work that originates now from your original work that has been done. In our case, because you are studying for a master's or doctorate qualification, this is mainly then for you to submit so that you can be able to pass after 2 years or 3 years, depending on the length of your study. And remember, a thesis was there or is there to address now the problems or series of problems that you've identified, how you solve them, what are the solutions that you're coming up with. That is what you need to tell us now in your thesis. Remember, the proposal was suggesting what you will do. Now here you are telling us what you have done. And also, the critical part that I wanted just to make you aware that is highlighted here on the screen. Remember that for a master's, either a mini dissertation or so, normally for you to be able to graduate or for your results to be released, to say that you have passed, you need to have a manuscript. At a master's level, especially for when it's a mini dissertation, you are not like mandated to have a paper submitted. But if it's a full dissertation, 1 manuscript should be submitted. At a doctoral level, 2 manuscripts must be submitted before you can even think of graduating. If you are fortunate enough, publications will be there. That will be, a good part of your submission. Now, let us start firstly with a master's thesis. I'm just showing here an example or a structure that you can think of. We normally have what we call the monograph or the old system of writing, where you normally have your the first chapter as your introduction, the second chapter as your literature review, the third chapter as your methodology, and then the fourth chapter normally as your results, the fifth one normally as your discussion, and then the sixth one as conclusions and then references. But here I just want to use the one that will then help you to try to work towards a publication, where you will have your title pages, declaration, summary or abstract, acknowledgement and dedication if you have any of those, followed by the table of contents. And remember, you must also have your list of figures and tables. Then it will be followed by chapter 1, which is the introducing the study, as you have said, similar to a proposal. Then your literature review, that's where, remember, you are identifying now what others have done and the gaps in the study. The methodology, as you have said, that's where you are now detailing us on what has been done. Remember, the proposal was what you will do. Here it's how you have done it in your study. And then chapter 4 can be either as a research results, but here what I want to maybe advise, depending on what style you're going to use. If you are going to use the article format where you want to prepare a paper that you can publish, it's always important that under your results section or so, you try to write it as an article where you're going to have introduction, your methods, results and discussion and conclusions, as well as reference list, more like a research article. That will be part of your dissertation, but that depends between you and your supervisor, whether you're going to use this style or any other style that you can think of. Now with that, at doctoral level, the same thing will still apply. Remember now, there's a way, it's not yet mandated, but it's encouraged that you try to have your doctorate in article format. Article format just says that you are preparing your submission in an article way that you can be able to submit one article without struggling to put the data together or so. While the old system, as I said, it will be the one where your results and discussions are either separated, but not in a form of an article. In this one, your chapters, most of them will become the research papers, an article that you're going to publish, where the same way as we have done with a master's, you will have your introduction, your methods, your results and discussions, your conclusions and references, and that will be in an article format that you will submit to any journal that is in line with your study so that it can be accepted for publication. So this is just some samples that we are using. Now, let us dwell now into the next part. Remember, we started with the proposal defense. Let's move now to the defense of your dissertation, or what we normally call viva voce. In simple terms, that's a Latin word that means that to give it a living voice. That's all that the meaning of that. Others call it an oral examination. And remember, at doctoral level, this is part of your examination. At master's level, you are not doing this, but some colleges or departments might do this to try to prepare you for doctorate. But currently, for doctorate candidates, you cannot graduate without going through this process. So this started roughly around 2022, and I think now we have a policy and some SOPs around this process. What is important here, remember, this forms an integral part of the examination process. So it's not something that is going alone. After the examiners have done everything, they have given you comments and all that, This is then what's going to follow. Normally, according to our documents online of UNISA, the policies and SOPs, this can take 30 minutes time for presentations. That will be followed up with questions and answers of about 30 to 45 minutes with the panel that will be there. And if you want more information, please check on our website under your college or even under College of Graduate Studies. You'll get this information there as well. Now, some of the myths that are there when you are defending your dissertation or thesis, they will still apply also when you're doing a proposal. Number one, remember that answering when you answer, it's not about answering all questions. Because some people, they think that if you don't answer maybe one question out of maybe 5, you will fail or so. Remember, the idea there is for you to reflect and present what you have done. Some questions might be something that you will not be able to answer. But having said that, it doesn't mean that when you are there, then you have to run away from all the questions. I'm just saying don't have to worry about something like that. Questions that will be there are there to try to help you to respond to your study. Secondly, the committee is just there to find holes in your study. They don't care about you. That is a wrong myth. Everybody who's there, either be the examiners or your supervisors or people who will be there invited in line with policy, they are there to help you in your study, to try to fine-tune it towards conclusion or whatever that you are doing. That's the purpose of a defense. It's not there to punish you. And the third myth amongst some of them, if your thesis defense is not successful, you have to start your thesis all over again. That is totally wrong. Depending on what happens there, if there are challenges that you did not do well, according to our policies, you can still appeal, or sometimes you might find there might be some other challenges that you faced when you are presenting. But that doesn't say that is the end of the day, because remember, you will have done the document already. That will have been passed by the examiners. But here you are just presenting. And I think I need to reflect also. Yesterday, some of you talked about the issue of AI. And please, when you are defending either your proposal or either your dissertation or thesis, once you have used AI, when you defend your own study, it will also be obvious that the study was not done by you. Hence, I said, remember the ethical aspect of using AI, and also remember the human factor that must also be there, because the study is yours. You need to be the master or the expert of the project that you are dealing with. Now, some of the tips during your oral defense: make sure that you review your material in advance, rehearse your presentation, and try to narrow the presentation of your ideas. And also try to prepare for unexpected questions, but do not panic. Remember, you are just trying to think about possible questions that the examiners can ask or people who are there in the panel, but don't stress yourself about that. This is an opportunity to demonstrate your understanding. Remember, when I started with the academic requirements, or what you call the outcomes. What is expected from a master's candidate or a doctoral candidate when you are done. This is an aspect where you are going to show what your skill, what you have learned, your understanding, your interpretation of data, how you can present. This is what you are doing here. Now, some of the expected contents of your oral defense are sort of like in line with the proposal, but the following need to be there in line with our policies. You need to have your introduction and background. You also have to reflect on your problem statement, your objectives, the methods and the materials that have been used for your project, the results and findings, in also brief discussion of what you have found there, as well as conclusions. Some people, they normally even include recommendations in this presentation. And also, what is important, the engagement with the amendments done after the examination. Remember, the examiners will have probably made maybe some comments, maybe 3 or 5 or 10 comments to say the following don't understand. This is a time when you are also going to reflect on that as well, to show that you did take note or cognizance of what they raised in your submission when they examined. And also, what is important, originality of contribution, the implications, and the avenues for further research. This you'll find on our SOPs for doctoral examination under UNISA. So these are some of the contents that are there, but I'll just try to guide you in terms of what can be then also part of your slides that you'll have. Now, the title introduction slides, remember, same to proposal. The title of your research paper or what you're submitting about your dissertation or thesis. You need to know your names, remember student numbers, the college where you are from, your supervisors, and the course that you are doing. That is more of your cover page or your slide that you are introducing yourself. Then you need to then give a background of your introduction. Remember, we talked about the background, where you are giving us the specific research questions that you were set out to answer, and why were those questions important to answer. and what were the objectives of the study also. This is part of your introductory remarks when you are presenting. You can still have the objectives slide aside as a slide on its own, but your background needs to try to give direction towards covering that aspect. Also remember the issue of literature review. Some people when they present, they might try to use part of their introduction linked up with the literature review, but you need to reflect on the literature review. Remember, this is where you are telling us now about the relevant and the current research linked or related to your study. Where you found gaps, this is where you're going to now still give us that background. Same way that you have done with the proposal, but now here now you are reporting based on what you have done. The other one slides that will have, it's about the one for methodology or either materials and methods. Remember in your proposal, you were telling us the methods that you're going to use, which methods you're going to use or research tools that you're going to use. Now here you are telling us what you have used. If somehow there might have been some amendments or changes, this is where now you're going to tell us exactly what has been done, so that should anybody want to repeat the project that you have done, they are able to repeat the project based on what you're going to present here. The issues of population, sampling methods, as I've indicated earlier, this is where you are now giving us that aspect. And also, how was your data analyzed? That part must also come out. Now, the part where you are also telling us about the results, the findings of your study. Remember, I also mentioned when you talk about the results, some people, they provide the results and then discuss. Some they provide the results separately and then they discuss after. Whichever way you follow, but you need to cover both. What is important here, remember, you are giving us now here an overall description of the data that you collected. You are giving us what the key aspects, the statistics that you have done to reflect on what you have done, the analysis that were there. And also, what were the most important part, the key aspects of your study. Remember, because you have about 30 minutes, you can't present the entire study. You are giving us the key aspects. What is important that you want us to take home from this project. Then the discussion slide, as I said, some people, they normally, when they talk about the results, they will normally combine with the discussion. But if you separate, this is where you are highlighting the meaning of your findings in relation to what you have done. What were the major findings in line with your results? And what do they mean with regard to your research? And what is important also, you need to explain any unusual or surprising results. You might find sometimes your data is not what you expected, but this is where now you can explain to us. And also remember, some examiners might have picked up some things that you need to reflect on when you come to this part. The other slide is about the conclusion slide. Remember, once you have now introduced the study, you have given us the aims of the study, what was there that you planned, and then you gave us the the statement of the problem of what you went through. You gave us the results, you discussed the results. Now you need to conclude, and your conclusion when you are presenting, the same way when you submit your thesis, it must be about the study. So you cannot conclude about something that is not part of your study that was not done. It must be only about what was done. Now, this is a point where you really look also now into your research questions, where they all attended to, or your objectives. This is where you are telling us, yes, objective 1, which was 1, 2, 3, has been covered. Objective 2, which was 1, 2, 3, has been covered. This is where you are now reflecting on with your conclusions. You also have to show us now what contributions you made out of your study to the body of knowledge. What is important also, you can also highlight, were there any limitations to your work when you're concluding? You can reflect on that. What is something that is tangible also? Remember, doctoral candidates, as we said earlier, the originality now of your contribution, as well as the implications if there are any. If you have recommendations, this is where you can also try to reflect on 1 or 2 of them, or the key recommendations that you might have. Some studies, people might design models, they might design a solution or something. This is where now you are giving us those aspects. Now, some of the slides that you can include is about where, in line with the conclusion, where you tell us about the possible future work or project or direction that you're going to follow, or that emanated from your project. Also, what is important, acknowledgement slide, where you are thanking the funders, whether you are being covered by UNISA in terms of your studies or your project, or any other, let's say maybe SASOL or government of South Africa, or any government where you are based, or either NRF or so. This way you thank them, the committee members, your supervisors, all those who have assisted, just to acknowledge their input in your study. Then also, when you are dealing with the questions and answers, you need to then give yourself some time and be prepared to provide clear and concise responses to the inquiries that will be there. Now, with that, also the list of references. The same thing, remember, that you have done with your proposal defense. the list of references. But what is key here, you don't have to put all references from your document. You only provide the references that are key that you used when you're presenting, because you might have about 60 references in your submission. You can give us probably about, say, 15, 20, depending on how many are there. Sometimes some people will normally say references can be obtained from the presenter, but at that level, it's important just to give people that assurance that you did go through such certain references. Now, remember the style that you'll use. Please, as I said yesterday, also confirm with your supervisor in terms of whether you're going to use the APA or Chicago style or Harvard or whatever style of reference that you're going to use. But make sure that the style that you're going to use is standardized. Then also, the last slide, you can have your contact details or confirmation in terms of emails and things like that if you want to be contacted. But that is not something that's mandatory, but you can think of that. Then some of the possible questions that can come from the examiners. Remember, this is just generic. It doesn't say this will be, but some of the possible questions. Number one, they normally will ask about the aspect that lacks clarity. If you have something that lacks clarity, examiners will want to get some clarity on that. Remember, some of them, as I said, you need to respond to some of the questions that they might have posed or concerns they might have posed when they were examining you. This is where you need to try to reflect on that. Secondly, you might have made claims that might require further, elaborations. So this is where then the examiners might also want to poke you some more on this if that is not clear. Or you might find that in terms of your references, one reference or two was missing, it was not there. So I would recommend, as UNISA now, I think we were still using Mendeley before, but we're now moving to EndNote. Please make sure that you, through the librarian or through our library, you try to make sure that you use EndNote. That will help you in terms of not missing out on references. It's not proper that when you submit your examination, you're still missing references, but yet we have the tools that can be used at the university. And then some examiners, possibilities are, they can probably ask about areas that may require more, elaboration, as I said before, from your study. And what is important, as I said, how was your research, contributing the originality? What is it that you're contributing to research, to the body of knowledge in terms of your field, be it in the sciences or be it in the, let's say, politics or so, wherever your project will be based, what is it that is new that you're contributing? And between the relationship between the research and the current body of knowledge. Those are the things that you need to reflect. Hence, when I started, I tried to give you, the characteristics of what is expected from a doctoral candidate as well as a master's candidate. Some of the questions, or that might be there, they might try to, evaluation of the research journey and how you resolve the challenges that you might have faced. Remember, every project, when you start with a proposal, you might plan to take maybe 1 year, but you might find you are taking 1 year, 6 months. If you are encountering some challenges in between with your project, you need to then to reflect. Examiners can ask you, but then we picked up there might have been a challenge on 1, 2, 3. Then you have to respond on what were the challenges, how did you resolve all those. Also, if your methods or the data analysis is not clear, examiners can ask questions over and above what they asked or maybe they were concerned about when you submitted. They can still ask at this point. As I said earlier, they can still ask about the future research and their implications, for your area of study. Also, they can ask about limitation of the study if you have not covered that, and also the major achievements of the study. So these are some of the examples. It doesn't say they will ask you all these questions. We are just, trying to say some of the possible questions. As I said, you can try to think of possible questions. They might not ask up 20 or so, but they might ask 1 or 2 or 3, depending on the project or when you are presenting. And I think with that, Mayor Dineo and Mayor Bronwyn, I think for today it's a bit shorter compared to yesterday because yesterday was a bit longer. So I believe then we can go to the questions now, if there are any. Let me put my camera on. I see today it looks like people are a bit tired of asking. The first one that I see on my site here, it says I'm doing the PhD with coursework I registered last year, but still not, I think, done or gone for my proposal as I would like to. I'm worried that my proposal will take about 2 years. Anonymous, I think we touched base on this one yesterday. However, please, if there are challenges with your proposal, remember normally within the first year of your registration, your proposal have to be done and also so that you are able to go for ethical clearance. If there are challenges, please engage with your college through the research coordinators or the administrators that are there to assist. If there are serious problems that we might not be aware of, you can also contact the College of Graduate Studies to try to see what needs to be done. The second one here, it's anonymous. It says at master's proposal, in method section, can you create one conceptual framework or is more allowed? Anonymous, that will depend between you and your supervisor and your study. Remember, normally in qualitative, depending whether you're using qualitative or mixed methods or quantitative, that will be between you and your supervisor. Sometimes you might have one, sometimes might be two, but that is between you and your supervisor. Anonymous here says, as a PhD student, is the Viva Voce done after I have received the examiner's comments, feedback for my thesis submission, or is it done before? Yes, as we have just indicated now, the defense is done after the examination. Hence, I mentioned that you also have to reflect on some of the concerns that the examiners might have picked up when they were examining your document, so that you are able to reflect that those have been attended to. So this is only done once you are done. You don't do it before. You do it after that, because the examiners, in line with our policies, they will be part of the the team that will be there with some of colleagues from your college. There might be some people, but in terms of our policy, there's a number of people that are going to be there. Anonymous here says, for budget, if you don't have funding, what do you write in the budget section? Still going to apply for funding. Anonymous, the part of the budget is just to indicate, because remember, every project that you're going to conduct, you need to reflect on how much money you're going to require. Even if you don't have a funding from anywhere, but you need to be clear whether you're going to do questionnaires or go to collect data. You need to have something that reflect how much money you're going to require for that. That is something that is important. Then I'm seeing another one here saying, I think from Basil, saying, how does one get hold of EndNote? Basil, I will follow up with our librarians, but I know we are busy. They are busy trying to work on it now, because 2 weeks back when we were in Durban, it was not yet active, but I know they are still working on that now, because Mendeley is the one that I would say is still active, but I know UNISA we're going the route of EndNote. So just give them some time, and then we'll follow up and try to check, but I know we are going that route of EndNote. I don't see any other questions. Or the next one here says, just for clarity, master's proposal requires to go for defense. Anonymous, master's proposals, as I said, even the doctoral proposals, it depends on the college where you are. Some colleges or departments might require you to defend your proposal, but at the current stage, it's only the defense for your examination at doctoral level, not at master's level. For the proposal, it depends on the college or department where you are, because it's something that is actually helping you with your studies. Let's check then here. The other one says, Anonymous, at master's level, is it necessary to include both theoretical and conceptual framework? Anonymous, that will be between yourself, your supervisor and yourself. Theoretical framework, depending whether you're using qualitative or which method you are going to use, it might be required that you have the theoretical aspect and conceptual framework. That will be between you and the supervisors. I can't say it's a must or so. It depends on what methods or research design you're going to work on, and what is your literature saying about your project. Because remember, we have people who are in the human sciences, in the applied sciences, in engineering. We come from different spheres. So your focus area will then also guide in terms of what needs to be there. Solomon says here, just acknowledging, thank you, Solomon. Last time UNISA has informed us that they are going to use RefWorks. They gave us the training on RefWorks and Mendeley, but not EndNote. Solomon, don't be alarmed and don't worry. Once EndNote is intact and all that, we will be informed of that. I'm just making you aware of what we're informed, that we are going that direction of EndNote. But the processes and how you deal with Mendeley and RefWorks and EndNote, they are almost roughly the same. I think EndNote, if I remember, the reason we might be going that because it's also inclusive now of other disciplines. While Mendeley and RefWorks, some other disciplines were struggling to utilize some of this, softwares. But EndNote seems to be covering all of them. But librarians will be able to assist on that through our library and through different colleges. Musa here is saying, I talked about MND dashboard yesterday. Is there a link where we can access it? Musa, as I indicated, I will check with Professor Baloyi. Their office is the one that is in charge of the MND dashboard. And the purpose of MND dashboard is also to assist. Remember, some of you yesterday were complaining that some of your supervisors, they take some time to respond and all that. In line with our policies, our SOPs and all that within the colleges differently, it's part and parcel of trying to make sure that we keep track of what is happening. So the M&D dashboard is there so that when you don't meet with your supervisors, all evidence is already online. We're able to follow up every now and then. So I'll just check with Professor Baloyi, and probably I think through Medube and Tenge here, we'll check also with Professor Mguchini, so that we probably at a later stage we touch base on the M&D dashboard if it's not part of the the sessions that are going to be there. But I think that's something that we'll do later. Michelle Sesha here says, is the Viva Voce conducted face-to-face or online? Firstly, this one is done online. If it has to be face-to-face, I think there will be some arrangements that needs to be done. Because remember, sometimes you might not be in Gauteng, you might be in Cape Town, or sometimes some people we have some students who are in Ethiopia, some might be in the UK or so. So normally it's done online. However, the face-to-face one, that's something that can be arranged in the college. If there's a need for that, there will probably be reasons for if that has to be done. Then it continues to say, or does it depend on whether? Okay, I think yes, I think I've covered that one. Then I think Misomsa here again says, I'm confused with the incorporation of findings, discussions, and conclusions parts at the proposal. So please make it clear for me. Biri, at the proposal side, remember there you don't have findings. At the proposal stage, you don't have any data, you don't have results. Whatever that you might have there is based on what others have done. But when you are at a defense level, when your dissertation is done, as I said, some people, they prefer to have the results separated from the discussions. Some, they normally combine the result with the discussions, and conclusions comes after that. So depending whether you're going to have your results separately or your result, or either combine your results with the discussions, that is between you and your supervisor or the journals or that you are going to follow in terms of what you're going to submit. But for the proposal, you don't have findings and on that. You only have what you're going to do. So discussions that's going to come out of there will come out of your literature that you have provided for on your proposal. Agnes here says, with a research topic focusing on TQM in, I'm not sure what is that because I'm not in the field, in small businesses. My proposal has 112 pages, despite eliminating some of the practices. So I'm a bit, Agnes, I'm not sure why your proposal has 112 pages, because that's almost a master's document or so. As I said, we normally try to have about 10 to 15 pages because you are proposing. So if you have so many pages, it's really, I don't know, in your college, what is happening there with what you are saying, unless it's a typing error. But 112 pages, that's more of a thesis now. So ideally, the proposal, because you are proposing what you're going to do, you just try to focus on what you're going to do. And normally, maximum of 20 pages might be something doable, but it's just a suggestion. So, but 112 pages for a proposal, Ria, I'm not sure if that's an error there or what's happening. I see Larry here says, I would like to know if the application is different when doing a dissertation. Larry, I'm not sure the application, what you mean here, but the defense that you are doing for your proposal or the defense that you do for your let's say your dissertation at doctoral level, the principles are almost the same. But remember, at the proposal stage, which we said is not yet mandatory, but some departments or colleges can still do that as part of training you. There you are presenting your proposal, you are defending your proposal. But for doctoral students, you are now defending your study, what you have done. But as I said, it's only at doctoral level, not at master's for now. And then I see Ramadimecha say, by when should we present proposal / thesis for this year? Can we also do presentation during the month of December? Ramadimecha, that is in line with your the college or the department where you are. Sometimes, remember, between you and your supervisors, you might be doing this within 6 months or so for your proposal. So as I said, for the proposal, it depends on your college. But normally within the year when you're doing your proposal, once you are ready, then you can present. But as I said, remember, the doctoral defense, that is the one that is mandatory. Currently, the proposal, I have not seen any document that saying it's mandatory, but should that be, we'll confirm with you. Whether you do that in December or what, that is between you and the supervisors. But ideally, if you register January, it's expected by the end of the year, your proposal should be done. If it's a thesis, it depends on how many years your project is going to be. That must be towards the end. The one Anima saying here, I still don't have Turnitin. Are we required to get Turnitin for PhD proposal? Anonymous, please. on our webpage under CGS, I don't know the Turnitin email by head, but Turnitin is what we are using. Even when you submit a proposal, this is part and parcel, because remember, it's there to help you on the aspect of plagiarism, to compare with what others are there. Remember, Turnitin is trying to check what you are writing, how does it compare with what others have done, so that you are able then to make sure that you refer to others' work without you plagiarizing. So it's helping you in that aspect. But on our website, we do have the email on that. So if you have a problem, please you can drop me an email. I will send you the contact details of a person who's relevant on that. The other one says, Prof, may you please clarify me on what is exactly the originality of the study? Anonymous, at a doctoral level, when we talk about originality, we are simply saying something new. What is it that is new that you are giving? So it means at the doctoral level, we're expecting you to come with something that has not been done, in simple terms. So you can't do a project. Let's say somebody has done a project on load shedding, and then you are going to do the same project, not for the doctoral candidate. You remember, as you have said, you need to now show us, out of what you have done, what is your contribution to science or your field of study? What is it that is new that you are giving us? The examiners, when you're presenting or when you submit your dissertation or your thesis, they are going to look for that. What is the originality of your project? So you can't do a copy kind of, somebody did a study in the UK, then you are doing the same study in South Africa, and then you think that you're going to submit, or through AI you just copy and paste. No, you have to show us now, what is it that is new? What is your contribution that is original that you are coming up with? That is the whole idea of originality. Anonymous here is saying, is there a recommended software to use for data analysis? Anonymous, depending on your project, whether you're going to use qualitative, quantitative, or mixed methods, through our stats office, you can then engage with them, and also in line with your supervisor, as well as what you might have found from literature. Literature, remember, depending on your field, will also guide in terms of what kind of data analysis are done for certain kind of studies. Sometimes people might use either SPSS, some might use Excel, some might use Amos or Atlas TI or any other software. But whatever software or data analysis that you're going to use, that is up to your project. Your project will then guide which data analysis must be utilized. And you normally have to give reasons why you might be using whatever analysis that you're going to use based on your study. Then there's one here saying, based on yesterday's presentation and today, okay, no, just to acknowledge. Thank you, Anonymous. The next one is saying, for the master's full dissertation, is it compulsory to publish the article or be submitted? Where do we submit it? Anonymous, what is important, what I mentioned earlier, for a mini dissertation, you are not necessarily mandated to have any submission for a publication. However, for a full dissertation, you need to have at least one paper submitted. For a doctorate, as I said, 2 papers submitted. I think probably in the future we might go the route of saying you must actually even publish. But for now, what I've seen on our policies or documents, at least a mini dissertation, you don't have to submit anything. If you submit, it's a bonus. A full dissertation at master's level, there must be at least 1 document submitted for publication. At doctoral level, at least 2. And the reason why we are trying to guide you or encourage towards a PhD by article in an article format is to make it easier so that when you publish, you are able to move in that direction. Let me go down. And then where do you submit that? Remember, through you and your supervisors in the college, they will guide you. Once you are done, the publication, remember, you have to submit it to a journal where you're going to submit. But once that is sorted out, in terms of the packages of what you're going to submit, is part and parcel of what has to happen in every college. The other one is just to show, just to thank, to appreciate. I think that's from Norma. Norma appreciated. Ramadi Major again saying, can you clarify the process of review of the proposal? I want to believe it says here, I know we send the supervisor, then it goes to ethics committee. Where does it go after it's approved by ethics committee? How long does this process take? Ramadi Major, remember, once you are done with your proposal, once it's approved within your college, after it has went through the processes, remember on our policies and SOPs, it clarifies exactly what needs to be done. So I will not be able to, remember everything, but on our website, under our college, and mainly also in every college, there are some policies that will refer you or SOPs that will guide you and which forms are required to be submitted when you submit your proposal for it to be approved, and also for ethical process also. All those details are available on our website. In every college, there are some details on there. Maybe just as an example, allow me to quickly show you one of the colleges, CAIES, that I was opening earlier. As you can check, if you can see, under CAIES, there's here where it says here, College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences, as an example. Here it shows you the forms for your master's and doctoral candidates. So the same will apply for other colleges. Here also, the policies and procedures that will reflect what needs to be done in terms of your submission of a proposal examination. So I'm just using this as an example. Every college will have something like this under the master's and doctoral information. And also just some of the policies here, it's under the College of Graduate Studies. Also some of the policies that will still link or are in line with what you'll find in your college, they are also available under College of Graduate Studies. And also just to check, I just want to check some of the websites I opened earlier. So I'm just showing you some of the things that are there. They are already there on our website. So within your college, please make sure that you check the policies, the SOPs within the college, and also the ones for masters and doctoral candidates, so that you are aware of what is happening. Then I see another one saying my MND dashboard is blank always. What am I missing? Anonymous, in terms of the MND dashboard, please, I'll check with Professor Baloyi, who's in charge of this, what is happening, because I know there's a newer version now of MND dashboard. So we'll just follow up and try to see what's happening. And also, please make sure that you are using your MyUNISA email address when you are accessing all this, but we'll try to follow up. Please drop us an email on my email. I made it now, thank you, because I saw you shared my email. Drop me an email so that I can follow up with the relevant office on the MND dashboard. The next one here, it says, can we apply for a bursary at first year of master study, or can we only be eligible second year of study? Can I apply for the NRF? Anonymous, the NRF is a different system. Remember, you are applying on your own, or it can be through the university, depending on the calls that are made. That's a different one, just like you can apply to any funding body out there. In terms of UNISA's processes, as I was referring you now to our policies, please refer to our policies also, because remember, when you apply, I believe you still have to have your proposal sorted out and your ethical clearance approved. Remember also, depending at what time you apply for a bursary, if you apply for a bursary before your proposal is approved and you have ethical clearance and you have indicated how much money you are going to require, you might find yourself you only get money for that particular part of the proposal aspect and not for the entire study. So ideally, the advice will be when you apply when your proposal and ethical clearance are done, so that at least if let's say, for example, you are going to get 30,000, you get 30,000, and when you apply too early, you might end up getting, let's say, maybe 6,000, because you apply too early, your study proposal is not yet approved and the ethics not approved. So ideally, try to apply once everything is sorted out. But please, as I said, also contact our our policies and all that. They will also guide you and the SOPs. Then the next one says here, it's for clarity, the defense we have to present, this is done after the submission of the research proposal, correct? Will supervisors assist with this? Anonymous, yes. As we said earlier, the Viva Voce, it's only done at doctoral level once the examination process, let's call it part 1 of the examination is done. So let's call it the defense will become part 2. And your supervisors, yes, they definitely will be helping you. Remember, your supervisors are holding your hand from the word go when you submit your proposal. So they have to be with you throughout the process, when you are collecting your data, throughout ethical clearance, your supervisors have to be there with you. Even during the presentation, when you present, your supervisors will be there. They will have to support you. They will guide you on what needs to be done in your study. Remember, you are not on your own. You are an expert as a student, but your supervisors are there to help you. You are not on your own. Then the other one from Mishka saying, just for clarity, the defense you have to present, I think this one I've covered. Yes, we have covered that one. The next one from Anonymous is saying, what's the recommended time to write the PhD research proposal? Anonymous, remember our policies say that in the first year of your registration, both master's and doctoral candidate, it's expected that your proposal must be done within that year and you must be approved. Sometimes people normally encourage within 6 months, but according to our policy I checked, it says within the first year of registration, your proposal must be done. Earlier, there was one of the candidates who was worried about being in the second day of a proposal. Remember, if you are taking more than a year or so, you are still at the proposal stage. The longer you take at the proposal stage, you might have challenges with your study. So try to utilize your time, effectively. Hence, we are encouraging that have your time frame in your proposal so that you plan, you are realistic in terms of your deadlines, so that you know you're going to be able to finish your studies. Just going down to check some of the questions here. Anonymous says here, since English is second language to majority of students, which AI tool is advisable for use? Anonymous, in terms of AI tools to use, that I'm not sure. It's up to you which ones you use. But as UNISA, there are some processes that you can follow where you have people who are gonna, what you call the editors or language editing. That is part and parcel. It's just that I forgot where on the website that is available, but there's somewhere either under our college or even under colleges where you can be guided on what to do for language editing. Because remember, it's important that you have your document language edited. Even if you have your English is your first language as mother tongue, but it's always important, just like with the journals, they normally require that your document must be language edited. So UNISA has some of the process to follow up in terms of language editing. When you submit, especially your final documents, please make sure that they are language edited. We do have on our website where you can get that such assistance. Let's check the next one from Mishka. Can I submit to Turnitin as much as I would like as I write independently before I Mishka, remember, Turnitin is an online system, more like working on the cloud. So we do have some regulations in terms of how many times can you submit your proposal on Turnitin. Because remember, if you submit today, it's on the system. When you submit, maybe after a week or so, it's on the system. So there's I can't remember how many times, but I'll check with our office of Turnitin, but it's limited. So you cannot submit your proposal or even your dissertation maybe 20 times or so. There's a limit on that because it's an online system that is saving the data online. So there are limitations on that. So, but on our policies, it's also covered on that. And thanks, Medinel. I see you have given also the link to the M&D policies. Thank you. Anonymous here says, what happens if my proposal research does not fit on any of UNISA's catalytic niche areas? Anonymous, even if your project doesn't fit, these are just what we call the flagship project of the university that are just there. So the idea is to try to see where your project fits. If it does not fit there, we cannot penalize you and say, your project is outside. Hence, I even touched base on the NDP. I touched base also on the SDGs as well as Agenda 2063. So those are things that you need to reflect on. The niche areas are there as as I said, the flagship project of the university. But that doesn't say if your project doesn't belong to one of them, you are out. You cannot do anything. No, it's just to try to guide the university. Remember, every university, it's known on something, on an area of this, what they specialize in. For example, let's say if UNISA is known on, energy, another university might specialize on something else. These are just what we call the flagship areas, the focus areas in terms of research. Anonymous here says, how long does it take for the ethics committee to approve the proposal? Anonymous, I honestly, we do have policies. I'm not sure out of my head now how long does it take, but I know once the proposal is done, the ethics committees, they are a bit faster, so they cannot take about a year. They are normally fast because remember, every college has their own ethics committee because to avoid the delays. Sometimes remember your project, if it's about animals or it's about the environment, depending on your project, it might require some engagement or so if some things are not clear. But I don't think they will take too long. The same way as a proposal, once it's submitted, it's approved, ethics will also be as fast as possible. Sometimes some colleges, they run the two processes at the same time, but it depends on which college you are in. The other one here says, Prof, is it a must to have Turnitin report in the at the proposal level? Anonymous, my understanding is that yes. Remember, at the proposal stage also, we also want to be aware whether is it your original work or what, because sometimes I can copy somebody's work and then submit it as it is. So what you are submitting, it's important so that at least we know it's your original work, and you have referred to others in terms of acknowledging what others have done before. Another one here from Anonymous says, evening, where do we get the 2024 ethical clearance form? Anonymous, as Medinewo has shared our policies, please check within the policies, as I was just giving an example of KAYES as an example. Check on in terms of our policies, what needs to be done there. Then you'll get all these details there. The next one here, I think from Vivian, it says here, my MND dashboard is also blank. My, I think Emerald e-resource platform also gives me errors. How can I go? Vivian, please drop me an email that Medinewo has shared earlier on the Q&A. We'll try to follow up with the office that deals with MND, and then we'll try to respond on that, because our colleagues, am I still audible? Medinewo, yes, I don't know what was happening with my network this side. It just went off. I was still on the issue of MND. I said, please drop us an email. We'll try to follow up on that. And then one commenter was saying, when we receive feedback from the examiners, when is the right time to submit it? Must you submit it in February or during the same year you submitted example 2024? Anonymous, let me just check here the feedback. Remember, Anonymous, the moment you get feedback from examiners through your supervisor or within your college, you have to attend to the comments that the examiners have made. And once that is done, you'll also be advised through your college and through your supervisor on what needs to be done, because you'll be given some time in between. Our policy in terms of the, the defense is very clear, and the SOPs are there also. They are available online. So please contact that and check what needs to be done, when it needs to be submitted, what, submitting what. But your supervisors will also go with you on that one. Let's still go down on some of them here. Let's see. The next one says here, I'm worried I started last year with my proposal and my PhD has the coursework. Though I would like to finish as my PhD as soon as possible, I feel better somehow being delayed because right now I'm in the same class with the first years. It's just like last year never existed. Okay, Anonymous, I believe, yes, if it's a coursework, yes, there will be some things that will be required for you to go through the processes. But as we have said, the sooner you finish your proposal, the better, in line with your supervisor. The next one from, I think, Ramadimeji again says, can I use this opportunity to clarify the issue of international trip for doctorate students? I hear the students need to undertake an international trip. I know it's not part of this. Madimeja, yes, that one, yes, I'm not clued up on that one, but ideally remember for doctoral candidates, for you to remember, maybe let's maybe clarify. At doctoral level, because remember now you are also trying to be original, trying to contribute something new. Part and parcel of the training, or to try to expose you, to people out there in the world. Part of the trips, if you're going to apply for a conference or so, please, that is in line with what will be clarified within your college through the research coordinators. They will clarify, and your supervisor also will advise on what needs to be done for you to be able to submit what is required in terms of the relevant forms. So there are some forms that might be required on what needs to be done. But normally when you go for a conference, remember the abstract must be submitted, your paper must be accepted. Sometimes whether it's a conference proceedings or so, it depends on what you are going to do. But please do check with your supervisors and your college where you are in on that. The other one here says, Prof, I spoke about the 6 months for writing a proposal. I reached out on month end of April. Anonymous, as I said, our policy requires that in the first year of registration, the proposal must be done. So yesterday when I was reflecting about the 6 months is to also to try to encourage you so that you work. Normally, remember some of you, because you are working, you might be registered part-time. Some of you might be registered full-time. So if you are part-time, your time schedule might be a bit longer, but those who are full-time, remember, you are working within a shorter space of time. So the expectation will differ, but normally within the first year, it's expect that your proposal must be done. Let's see another one here, which seems to be the last one that I see here. It says, I think that is one that I've just covered now. Yes, I think that's the last one. Me Dube and Metenge, is there anything that you are picking up on your side? I see the last one is just to acknowledge. Thank you, EP. It's just an acknowledgement. Just to check with you if you are picking up anything on your side. Okay, I'm seeing another one here coming through. It says here, Prof, how can we get information regarding UNISA ethical process? I've responded on that one. That is available online. Please check your college, and also under the College of Graduate Studies. Information will be there, but we'll try to provide some information. You can drop me an email as well. Anonymous here says, how and when do we indicate the corrections made on the proposal? Saying including the inputs from examiners on the proposal. Anonymous, remember, for the proposal, examiners are not included. Between you and your supervisor, that is still the part of the proposal. Examiners are only included at the doctoral level when you have submitted for examination. Remember, there are some processes where you normally submit the intention to submit for examination. There are all those processes that are there. So examiners are only involved at the stage when you are submitting for examination. At the proposal stage, it's only between you and your supervisor within your college. They will guide on what needs to be done and when you will submit things like that, and how long you're going to take for submitting, and whether you're going to defend or not. As I said, the colleges will differ on the department. Some might want you to defend your proposal, some might not, but that is at the college level. But at doctoral level, it's only after examination that what is happening now. Let's check also some of the comments, if there's any here. I'm just trying to go down. Anonymous says, Prof, I registered in April, submitted my proposal to my supervisor end of May. I still have not received feedback, hence I have been following up. This is the College of Law and the mode of communication with supervisors email. I'm highly concerned about the 6 months time frame. Anonymous, as I said, your proposal must be done within the first year, but please. And also, if you check also on our policies that I try to refer to, there, remember, normally you also have to agree as part of something that we normally can refer to as an agreement between you and your supervisor. You normally have to agree how often you're going to give feedback, how often you're going to meet. Those are the things that must be there between you and your supervisor or supervisors. So please check our policies, check our SOPs within your colleges or under our College of Graduate Studies, so that at least you are clear on what is expected from a student, what is expected from the supervisors, so that on both sides, the two parties, you agree on what needs to be there, and when you're going to meet, submit what, all those things have to be there, as I also indicated yesterday. Another one, in our college, we have reviewers. Yes, Anonymous, every college will have reviewers of your proposal. Remember, when you submit a proposal, it will be reviewed by probably 2 or 3 people, depending on what happens in your college, but your supervisor will be there to guide within your college. There's one here saying, Prof, can one do PhD in research if you have done LLM as a coursework? Larry, I'm not sure. Remember, you'll have to check then if this is a master's, you'll have to check what are the requirements. Probably I think this one will fall within law. You'll check the requirements that are there for a PhD. Remember, the requirements of PhD will probably advise whether can they take you with a master's by coursework or dissertation or so. Those are things that have to do with about the admissions requirements. So you'll have to check with your college on that one. The next one here, where should I send the first draft proposal and how many times before it's approved? Anonymous, remember you are engaging with your supervisor. The engagement of your proposal must be between you and your supervisor, because that is the person, or if it's 2 supervisors or 3, those are the people that you're going to work with your proposal. So that is between you and the supervisors where you're going to submit. As I said, the M&D dashboard is just there to keep track of what's happening. But between you and the supervisor, that's where then they'll guide when to submit, how often they'll have to do that between you and the supervisors. Another one here, our PhD in, I think, EMC. Are reviewed by 3 internal lecturers. Then there is defense attendance by all staff. Yes, Anonymous, as I said, it depends on the college where you are or the department where you are. The proposal sometimes, yes, some people defend within the college or department. That is in line with what will be happening at site. Yes, as I said earlier. Manimecha here says, I hear most of students are complaining about communication with supervisors via email. So that this means they can't share their mobile numbers. Ramadimecha, that one, it's I'm not sure in terms of cell numbers, but ideally, as I said, if any student has a problem communicating with their supervisors, please engage with your colleges, your research coordinators, or the admin people that are helping you. Should there be problems, you can also check with our College of Graduate Studies so that we can try to intervene, but we'll still try to check within each college what is happening there. I'm just trying to go down to see if there are any other questions or so. I think that's the last one. Colleagues, that looks to be the last one. Mayor Dube and Mayor Tenge, can you check if you are picking up anything on your side before we close the session? I see another one coming from Haukelo here, saying I changed supervisors and the new supervisor suggested I change the various things on the proposal. Does this then affect the first year of? Okay, Haukelo, your case is a different one. Where there was an issue with the supervisors, remember there will be records that will show that you had supervisor A, maybe it was Karabo Shali, but now you are going to work with Mayor Dube Dineo. So that will be something that you must discuss within your college. There are some procedures to be followed in terms of where the extension that will be given if you have to go to the second year with a proposal. There are some processes within your college that will guide what needs to be done, because that has to be done within your college through the dean's office or so, but that is a procedure that needs to be followed. Let me check if there's any other one here. I don't see any other questions or comments. Colleagues, I trust you learned on this aspect. Then thank you for availing yourself and being here today. If there are any other further questions, please, you have my email, you can drop them there. We'll try to follow up. But also to Mayor Dube and Mayor Tenge, you can drop some of the comments that we have. They'll then share them with us. We then respond on that. So that, because remember, this is an engagement that is going to go on throughout the process. There are some other sessions that are going to follow. Some of the questions might be answered in some of the sessions that will follow, but we are here to help you and guide you. With that, colleagues, allow me then to thank you once more. Mayor Dineo and Mayor Bronwen, thank you also in the background assisting. So I trust Mayor Dineo, then we can close this session if there are no other comments that I pick up online. Over to you, Mayor Dineo or Mayor Bronwen, if there's any comment on your side. Mayor Dineo or Mayor Dube?
I think we can close, Prof. We don't have any more questions.
Okay, no, correct. Thanks, Mayor Bronwen. And then, as I said, thank you, colleagues, and goodbye for now. Enjoy the rest of the evening and the remaining part of the week. Thank you and goodbye.